Hey, hey, hey. Hopefully, Snowball doesn't stop barking like a crazy person while we on here. All right, y'all. You saw the title. And so, first, let me introduce myself. My name is Maritza, and I enjoy getting on social media or just in conversation, at events, whatever it is. I enjoy helping women become the best version of themselves. And sometimes that entails lessons that I share from myself personally, from friends, from family, or just things that I've read. And I'm like, wow, that just looks just like this, or I remember that. So I just would like to get information to women so that they either stop doing the same thing, which is similar to our title tonight, or just so that they never even end up there. I would like for them not to have the journey that I had in life, right? Today I was thinking about how often we do a lot of praying. First of all, I'm sorry. Let me just start us off in prayer. Father God, thank you for this time that I'm going to share with these beautiful people of God. And I just ask that you use me in the way that you see fit and that it helps a lot of people by us having this conversation, that this video touches the lives of many people in Jesus' name. In Jesus' name, that's right. Listen, ladies, it doesn't matter. It does not matter what the area may be. If you are seeing cycles in your life, whether it be from a familiar and really easy one, to give you examples from relationships, or whether it be from a financial standpoint, whether it be, I think she's about to start acting crazy if the dogs are out there, whether it be from, I said relational, I said financial, whether it just be something personally that you are struggling with that is internal or in your life, the way you may do things, the decisions that you may make that affect you, right? Whatever it might be, getting to that place and seeing that cycle over and over it should be telling you to, one, stop. After that first time when you do whatever you do, right? Let's say it may be relational. Say the first time that you and him got into it, he said some really, really harsh words and called you out of your name, and then apologized, right? And you said, okay, and said, after this time, if he ever does that to me again, it's it. It's really it. Well, now in this example, you are on the 8th time in the relationship, and he has now become super comfortable with calling you out of your name. And quite frankly, the cycle, right, of being able to apologize and then you guys be okay all over again. He has become comfortable with hearing, right, your words and your threats. And at this point, that's what they are threats, right? Because you really haven't taken action on them all the other times, the 5th to the 7th time, whatever number we said, right? When that happens, you are literally not growing. You are literally stuck. Like you're repeating You're not stuck. Excuse me. You are literally repeating an aspect of your life that you better hope, but often does, but you better hope that it doesn't affect other areas of your life, right? Like your finances, like your relationships with friends and family, right? In this example, it is important for you to take the time, queens, to take the time to, one, catch that you're in this repeat. And let me tell you something that I learned, and I really started applying it to my life, and it like blew me away and forced me to really start thinking about what I was doing. And it was when, I think it was Myron Golden that said, like, when you're not like, he said it, I don't know his exact words, I don't have it right in front of me, I wish I did, dang. But what he basically said is, when you are not like moving forward or moving up or whatever it may be, right? That you're literally like going backwards to some degree because up, snowball. Shh, one day the delivery man's at the door. I wish I had it. Oh, I can't believe that I don't have that. Let me just see something real quick, because sometimes I place them at the beginning of my books so that I could just grab them right away. But basically, look at it as when you get kept back in school, right? When a child gets kept back in school, shh. When a child gets kept back, this dog was not barking all this time, so the devil is a liar. When you get kept back in school, when a child does, right? They are not progressing. They are not growing. Mentally, they are not moving ahead. Physically, they are not moving ahead. And what we have learned also, like, is emotionally, socially, right? Because they're not getting that interaction that the age that they are, that socially and emotionally, like, they should be interacting with, generally speaking, right? So if I take that and I utilize that with our finances, for instance, right? We can get to a place where we are constantly blaming God and mad that our lives look a certain way, when in actuality, we are the ones that are creating the environment that we're living in. We are adults, and the decisions or the lack thereof decisions that we have made or did not make, that are causing this cyclic behavior to keep showing itself, are all on us. They are all on us, because we are grown. And, you know, I understand in some instances that it may be dangerous to leave if you're in a domestic violence situation, just to say this real quick. But at the end of the day, you're still choosing. And I can speak that because I know that, because I was there. I know the fear. I know the financial, if you're financially dependent, what that looks like. But still, after all those layers are pulled back, if you make the decision to keep moving forward in the relationship and you continue to see the cycle, right? You have to take ownership for your portion of it. Now, tonight I wanted to share with you guys. I wanted to share like a financial one, a personal financial one that I went through that I had to learn the hard way, right? And it was not once, it was 3 times before I caught that I was in a cycle, before my mind matured enough that I realized that this was all Maritza and poor choices she was making and ignorance that I had, I guess, accumulated or developed along the way because I was not moving forward in my thinking, in my education, in my decisions as it pertained to my finances. So literally, you can be mature in other areas of your life, right? But lacking in one or whatever amount of areas. And like I said before, it can be having an effect on other parts of your life, other aspects of you and how you relate to others or not, right? Or you just aren't seeing it because you have not yet matured enough to identify it, right? So there was a time when I really struggled with, let me fix myself in this seat, excuse me, you guys. I really struggled, y'all, with keeping my credit in order. Like, I would do so good, get my stuff together. Let's start at the beginning. So I was one of those folks that got a credit card when I was really young. And I had my first credit cards when I was like 14 because I was working for the Metropolitan District Commission, MDC, right? I was working for them. And this is driving me crazy, y'all. Let's doggone see. I was working for them, y'all. And at that time, I was making old measly, but at that time, it was a big deal. I was 14 years old, and it was the summer jobs, and I was making $300 a week, and they didn't tax it either. Right? It was the kids, the youth summer program, and I got in at the swimming pools, like actually handing out. I wasn't a lifeguard, but actually handing out and collecting like the people's baskets that they put their clothes in. And so my first credit card came at the age of about 14, because that's how old I was. And I wasn't thinking about how am I going to pay this off after, like one of them, what were the 2 credit cards? Goodness. That was back then. Y'all give me a minute to think about that. But I do remember that I went out and I bought all these clothes and I was feeling good, because we grew up in the hood, You did have to go out at a certain age and get a job so that you could like buy certain things for school, back to school and this and that and all that, right? That was part of like, if you wanted to look like anything decent, you better get a job, right? But I also got credit cards because they were there offering it. And imagine, think back to being 14 and them just like couldn't have been much guidelines because I got the credit cards and of course I charged those things up. And after the summer program was over, guess who didn't have a job to pay the credit card bill, right? So here I am at this young age, and I'm getting credit card bills in the mail. Then I'm getting delinquent bills, and I didn't have a phone at that time, right? My mom had a phone. I don't even remember if I gave that number. I don't even know if that was a requirement back then, right? But the point I'm making is I messed my credit up. So it was in my maiden name, right? And I would say it took me, like when I was like 18, right? That's when I got like my first big girl job, right? That was after I graduated from high school, and I was trying to figure out, I had a son, so I was trying to figure out if I was gonna go to college, part-time, full-time, or if I was just gonna work my way up the ladder. And so I was working at a bank. And I remember we were doing data entry or what so have you. And it was like, right? But I did it for a bit. And, again, I was able to get credit cards, charge them up. And part of that was because of the exhilaration of feeling like a rich girl and having all this freedom with this piece of plastic. I just was like, and y'all, this is way back when they had that like thing. They had the copy, what are they? Carbon copy paper. You had to push it in, and you had to go back and forth with the machine, and it printed down the numbers and everything. And it was, y'all, I bought up a whole bunch of stuff for work, and just swiping it for this and that. If I wanted to go out, as little as I got to go out, of course, for lunch and things like that. Messed my credit up again. Probably around, I'll say 22 or 23. I started like saying, wow, like, I was thinking about getting a car. And this is where I started to really learn that, I had lost my mind. So no, 1, 2. I started like trying to pay attention, y'all, to like, okay, when I was doing all that stuff, like, did I mess it up? Did I mess my credit up when I was 18? Like I did when I was 14, am I able to buy things, right? And I remember being at a place where I had a Ford Escort that my son's dad had bought for me. Shout out, thank you. But I was in that place where I was like, wow, like, you know what? It's starting to act up a little bit. Let me go ahead and get myself a reliable car, especially up in Boston. So I went and I leased a Corolla. But when I tell y'all what I found out about being in that situation, y'all, like when they ran my credit at that time, and I feel like I was 23 or 24-ish. I hope y'all can hear me over this crazy dog. Wait a minute. Let me close this door. What I will say is that I stop all that barking then. You don't want to be out there, but then you want to do all that barking. Stop all that barking. Out there looking for those dogs. No. Not picking you up. So, sorry guys. So, I remember thinking like, wow, when the car dealership asked me for my social security number, all I was thinking at that time was like, what are they going to find? Am I going to be able to do this? Because I was thinking back to when I was buying the clothes and I was swiping away and I wasn't being responsible with paying my bills or paying them on time. You know, I was making poor choices as to what I was going to do with my money. And I did it over and over. 1, 2 times. Yep. And then I remember the car dealership. And I remember them saying that they could get me into a Corolla. But that they mentioned my credit and my score and how my score was affecting what my interest rate was going to be, meaning how much money are they going to make off of me within the time period that I was leasing this vehicle. Because remember, every 2 to 3 years, you return those leased vehicles, and you know, you have the option to either buy or you're turning it in. And if anything is wrong with it, that's a whole nother conversation. But I remember thinking, wow, because, you know, you go into a place and you see like them saying this rate, that, and of course that's to grab you, right? Because that rate is probably for the 800 credit score person, but that's what grabs you, right? So the fact that there was actually somebody out there that had a credit score that was that good that they could get that number, but I was in some astronomical number, right? That was when I started to really understand the impact of me constantly remaining in this cycle was having on my life, and how I wasn't able to grow because of that. Now, let me say this. Sometimes this type of stuff definitely happens when we are in places of hardship, right? Like, I'm not talking about that, y'all, because you can't help it if you lost the job and, you know, you done went through your emergency fund. Like, you can't. There's certain times in our history, like recessions and stuff like that, the Depression, the Great Depression, that, you know, people really, really, really did not have it, right? They didn't. They did not. And it wasn't necessarily because of something they did. It was something the government had did, right? So I'm not talking about that. I'm talking about when it's your fault. When it is your fault that your credit looks janky, jacked up, and it is below in the 4s and 5s. That type of stuff is what I'm talking about when we have done it to ourselves. And the lesson that the conversation and example of myself and learning the importance of credit and how to be responsible with it, right? I was in a cycle, y'all. In that area of my life, it looked the same over and over and over, where I had to start over. Now, technology, there were advances, so there were small things that were a little different, right? Like in terms of, well, bank fees were more, right? And the credit card people now could call you on the phone. They could email you. They could, well, not when I was 18, but they could call you on the phone, and my phone going crazy. 18. Yeah, because it was me doing a good job with my leasing that helped my credit get better. it helped because they saw that I was making payments on time. And, you know, after a while, oh my gosh, after a while, sorry you guys, my husband just came in. I'll be right back. I want to give him a kiss. I'll be right back. Baby? Okay, let me kiss you real quick.
I see you. Relax. You're too hyper. Oh, you're too hyper. Relax. You're too hyper. You're too hyper. Slow down. That's it now.
Sorry, you guys. Here I come. All right. So, learning, when I started to learn that, you know, you not paying your bills on time, like you not having emergency funds, you not having, you know, insurance or some type of asset, real estate, anything, something that you can draw from so that you can pay down and pay what you owe the creditors, right? I began to learn that, but before that, right, credit all jacked up. Let's see, calling on the phone won't stop calling on the phone, right? Emailing you like crazy, right? Because the third time, like I told you guys with the cycle, the third time was when I was older. And and again, you know, I identified that, you know, that comes from a place of like, poverty mindset, like still being in that area with that example, right? Still being in a place of poverty mindset I needed to like spend to feel good. Like it was like I was trying to satisfy myself, you guys. Like something inside of me was missing, and I was trying to prove something to me by having those credit cards, by swiping those credit cards that way, right? And by figuring that out and realizing that that's where all of that was generated from, right? And that's what I needed to work on so that I didn't end up in that same place again, and then again, and then again, right? Not moving forward and not growing so that I could enjoy the luxuries that come with having an exceptional credit score. And knowing and being able to tell myself that I can have that, right? Maritza, you can have that. You know, you don't have to keep making these poor choices as it pertains to your credit, right? That right there, y'all, is like the beginning of identifying that there's the problem. Seeing the cycle is the beginning. And so, you know, I guess what I'm trying to say is you gotta, if you see cycles going on that are affecting your life in different areas that we talked about, right? Not just the examples, but the categories that we talked about: relationship, finance, right? Emotionally, spiritually, right? Like, some people can be in that cycle and their example could be backsliding, right? They could just keep backsliding. And you first have to identify, what is it that has me backsliding like this? Like deep down inside, why do I keep failing in this area? Why am I not in a space where I can enjoy all the benefits, all the things on the other side of being a Christian who has not backslidden, right? Why can't I have that? And you can, but what are you willing to work through for yourself as that Christian that we're using as an example, so that you are able to even see into sharing what's going on over there. Instead, you keep ending up over here with the feelings of guilt and, oh my gosh, I done did it again. Oh my gosh, I might have to go back to the altar because, I want to make that testament in front of everybody, that public testament that, I'm getting it together. You first have to identify that you need to get it together. And once you see the cycle, you got to figure out, you got to peel back them layers, even if it hurts. Where did this begin? Why is this so natural for me, right? So that's what I had to do as it pertained to my credit, right? Why is this so natural? Why is it that I think it is okay to do this and then get it myself together and then I mess it up again, right? What's that? Where is that coming from? What am I trying to satisfy in the time, in that space of doing that very irresponsible thing of destroying my credit? So y'all, I hope that this has helped someone. And I just hope that, and I pray that you are able to be honest with yourself and never mind what everybody else is going to think, never mind what everybody else is going to say, but that you could be honest with yourself and you can take that honest look inward as well and identify what areas of your life are you cyclical in a negative way, right? What areas of your life are you not growing in because you keep doing the same thing over and over and you're expecting a different result, but you're doing the same thing over and over? What areas of your life do you need change? And that might have to come through education from someone because you may be ignorant to how it gets done. It might be something that is so serious that you can't Google it and find out the information of how to fix it. It may be something that requires you to really dig in and uproot some painful stuff. Well, I hope this helped. It wasn't the most fun. It wasn't a funny or a fun video or what so have you. The topic isn't the most ha-ha-ha-ish or ooh, that was good, girl type of video. But I really did feel that it was important for me to share it with you guys because if you don't get off that cycle, that hamster wheel, of whatever area of life you are finding your cycle, you will still be doing that same thing as an older person, and you will not have grown in that area. You will not have reaped the blessings of moving beyond that area. The blessings that come with moving beyond that area. Well, I love you guys with the love of the Lord, and I'll see you next time. Later.